Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Thirsty Topics. I'm your guy, Lawrence Elrod.
And I'm Meryl Climo.
Meryl, what a week, huh?
Oh my gosh, what a week. I feel like last week's news was weird and this week's news is just like juicy. Again, we're back to it being like fun and juicy, lighthearted.
Oh, yeah. Now, before we jump off into the pop topics, I'm going to do a little bonus um, discussion here. I guess my question is how much information is too much information? For example, I don't know if anyone's kind of keeping up with what's going on with the trial for former President Trump, but Stormy Daniels was on the stand. And part of her testimony was very graphic details about their encounter.
Oh no.
More information than most people wanted to know. And again, I'm just quoting what I heard from the news,
Right.
but apparently he likes to be spanked.
No way.
He did not use protection.
Oh
I
my
mean, it was
gosh.
like really, really intense. I mean, a couple of times where the defense had to object because it was just like information. And I get they're trying to prosecution is trying to build their case, but I don't know. Do you think that information was a little bit too much? You think?
Um, I mean, for the sake of my entertainment, no. I think I need more. But like, and this is all under like she's under a court of law, right? So like, I do believe that what she's saying has to be true. Like, she's not making this up. Otherwise, she knows she could get,
Mm-hmm.
perjury. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think it all depends on the case. If it was for this case, it does sound like, I mean, of course, I think a little bit of it is being salacious and like knowing that it's going to get even more press. I think she knows. I'm surprised she doesn't like save these details and do another book tour, do another podcast run or something. Um, I feel like, especially with all of our presidents, like including our current one now, I don't want to know anything about if they want to be spanked. maybe Obama. Like, I'd be okay to hear about Obama and Michelle. But like, I know too much about Clinton. I know too much about JFK's sex life, and like Trump being spanked is just was not on my like desire of my vision board. So I don't
Yeah, I
know. What do you
remember.
think? Is it too much, or like is it just part of the legal court case? Because I feel like in a murder trial, you get all the gory details, and I'm wondering if that's like akin to just like giving as much as you can to show that you were a victim in all of this.
Actually, you bring up a good point because there's mixed reviews on the information I was given, and one point was made is that because Trump keeps denying that it never happened, I understand why they went the direction they did on the prosecution to basically, show yes, this did happen. Here's some details. Some of the details that came out was the fact that I guess he showed her around his home,
Oh,
pointed out, his wife's room and said, she likes to sleep, have her privacy. This is Melania's room. And, I guess they're building up to say that, okay, she would not know all this stuff if she was not close to him and did not know him.
right.
I haven't met anyone that, walks strangers around their home to show them around either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. I wish I could have seen the people's faces in court when she was detailing, like spanking him. Like, even if you're a judge or a jury, how do you keep a straight face at all? Like, how do you maintain professionalism?
Well, obviously it was a mixed bag, and they said even a couple of jurors kind of silently giggled a little bit when she was going through her details.
Yeah. Wow. And then at no point, so you said at some point they did stop and say like this is enough, or they tried to at least like his side of things.
They stopped it, once it got to the point where it was getting bad. I mean, I'm like, okay, I mean, you've already let them share this. I can't, what else could be left?
Yeah.
I mean, to
Wow.
the point to where they even said, they were in the missionary position, and I mean, that's pretty detailed.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I don't need to know unless it says anything about his like how if he calls her any like weird pet names, or I don't know. I mean, I don't want to hear her do like a Trump impression or anything, but
Yeah, I mean, there was one point that was really kind of raised my eyebrows, where I guess when he was with her and she said he's again, this is what Stormy said.
right, right.
Um, well, Trump told her that you kind of remind me of my daughter, because you're
Oh,
nice, you're young, you're smart, and I'm sitting there thinking, that's kind of a weird thing to say when you're laying
oh,
down being intimate with someone. I mean, maybe it's me, but
yes. And there's already been however people feel like there's already been some weird video, not their videos being made, but people have noticed in the past before that he seems to be very fond of her and stuff, whatever that means, who knows, but
mhm,
oh, that's so gross.
that really shocked me. And I guess Trump was kind of angry because he was like shaking his head, and I guess he was like muttering curse words in there, and the judge had to say something. He was, to put it nicely, he was pretty perturbed. He was pretty upset.
Yeah. I feel like the only way to go about that is to just own it and be like, yeah, I like being spanked, and almost then to like make her the bad guy for kink shaming or something. I
Mhm.
feel like that's the only way that to do it is to be like, yeah, besides denying it is to just be like, yep, I'm into it, and everyone could be into what they want in this day and age, so almost to make her look like the kind of weird one for trying to out him in whatever way.
That's true. That's true. But the only problem with that is he would kind of have to own up that, yeah,
he
it did
he did
happen.
it. Yeah, exactly. Wow. Well, I would say I would go and check out the details after this, but I'm not quite sure if I want to like know everything too. Like I said, it's so weird. All the politicians seem to like. I'm like, are there any politicians that have no scandals around them?
The sad part about this is that with all the craziness going on, I think that there are a lot of people that truly do want to get into politics, but because it's so toxic and crazy, that they're like, no, it's not even worth it. You know?
Yeah. Did you ever watch? Did you watch House of Cards
Yeah, I
TV
watched that.
show? That was so good. I feel like that really showed life in the White House about how even if someone was doing they were doing a good job, they would like off them, and like that's such a good TV show, and I feel like it probably is pretty close to home of like what it's like.
The sad part about that is it not only emulates what happens in politics, but unfortunately, even in business.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Like competitive people just being off, not even killed, but just like sabotage, and then the relationship that they had, the president and the woman president too, like I'm sure that's what Bill and Hillary, I think, were very similar, and same thing with probably Trump and Melania, like just
Mhm.
existing in separate bedrooms and just kind of being like business partners almost.
That's true. That's true. And to me, I get why they're doing what they're doing. If that's what they're doing is more of a business relationship, but to me, that's a sad life because it's basically you're living in a glass house is what you're doing.
Yeah, boy, all of Trump's partying, whether it's like the Epstein stuff, whatever, the Stormy Daniels, like all that stuff, I feel like from the '80s is coming back to haunt him now. Like all the partying that they did, and that's not allegedly. That's there's videos, whatever. So,
That's
uh,
true. Well,
so
thank you for
crazy.
letting me get that bonus one out there because that was kind of juicy. I wanted to get that one out.
That was good bonus content.
All right, Meryl. Well, you will start off today.
Okay, I will. This one is the juiciest and might take us some time to dissect, but of course I've got to talk about the Drake and the Kendrick beef
Hmm.
that's been going on, and I have so many thoughts on this, like basically between the diss tracks that have been coming out, it seems to be that people feel like Kendrick is the obvious winner when he released like I think 3 songs in a row towards Drake, and Drake did like one answer. Or was it? I don't know whether it was 2 songs Drake answered and then another one, or 3 ones in a row. I'm not quite sure of that timing.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't know if you listened to any of them. I guess that would be my first question.
I do listen to him, and at first it was like, wow, okay, kind of fun, whatever. But I don't know if you heard the latest thing that someone actually shot at Drake's home. It was
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. I
See,
think
and
his
that was going to be
bodyguard was
one of
hit.
my really. I
Hmm.
did not know that. And that was going to be one of the bullet points that I had here for us to talk about is like making sure it doesn't actually incite actual physical harm because they both of the tracks got super weird of like you're dead now, you know, like the shotgun noises and it's just like they both really seem to be going for blood and like I don't know how they don't think their fans could some deranged fans would have like, you know, take action on it.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I mean, beef's been around for years. Okay, this is nothing new.
Right.
But I think the thing that's a little different is, when it gets too close to that point of actual violence, I think that's when you need to turn the temperature down because it's not that serious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, there's been some great battles over the years. You
Yeah,
know,
which ones did you like? I also wrote that down for us to talk about.
I would say starting off with the old school ones. I remember when Ice Cube wrote a diss track towards NWA.
Whoa.
We were talking about him, and um, man, it was a nice diss track. It was pretty intense, not for
Yeah.
young ears, but it was pretty good. They went at him. It was more like fun, the beat was nice,
Yes.
the the, the lyrics was in there. I also remember when Tupac and Biggie kind of went at it a little bit for a minute.
Yeah. Was
You
that
know,
was hit him up for that? That was that towards Biggie?
Hit 'em up was Tupac's response to Biggie because he felt like
Okay.
Biggie disrespected him when Biggie made the song "Who Shot You."
Oh, whoa.
That was right after Tupac got shot. I think trying to get on the elevator, go upstairs to the studio, or whatever.
Well, how hit 'em up starts, I won't say it here or else I'll get us kicked off live, but the beginning of hit 'em up is like the best start to any song I think in the entire world. Like sometimes if I'm driving in my car and I'm angry, I just like start saying that. I'm like a neurotic Jewish white girl, so but
I
that to
mean,
this day, like him just like starting like that, I think is so funny and so cool. And the
but you
fact that they
gotta
played
admit
that on the
though,
radio.
he went pretty hard to start it off though. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I think that's like so funny and so cool. But yeah, the Drake and Kendrick stuff, I mean, it got into topics of like minors and illegitimate children, you know, like it wasn't just artistry or I don't like your vibe. It was definitely some weird stuff and a lot of threatening of like I'll out what the skeletons are in your closet. It just I don't know, it feels like both of them just need to like relax and take a nap and stuff. And I'm sure like I actually like Drake. I know he annoys a lot of people, but like I like Drake, you know, a lot, but I do think like he's probably a weird person doing weird things, but I also think like who knows if Kendrick is that way too, you know, like I don't know the moral compass of both those people. And I think we feel like we do because we feel like we know them, but we don't actually know what people are like really, really like, you know?
Yeah, I mean the thing is that I I I kind of would like to see them, when you have an issue with someone, do like the old days. Call them up, maybe meet somewhere and just talk it out, you know,
Yeah.
because the worst thing you could do is really have an open beef, especially with social media now, because, you know, anything you say, especially if you're a A-lister, goes everywhere. People hear about it instantly.
Right.
And once it's out there, you can't take it back.
No, no, it was actually so sweet, but I saw like grown men making dances to Kendrick's beef, and I'm like, that's actually so sweet that like grown men that have nothing to do with this are like dancing to his diss track, and I'm like, it's just I almost feel though we needed a little bit if this was a little bit lighter and they didn't go for each other's jugular, it would be really fun because I think that's what the world needs a little bit of like soft playful fighting right now, you know, because I think there's a lot of very serious world topics happening, of course, where like it's heavy, you know, fighting. But I don't know. This got a little weird. One of my favorite diss tracks ever. It's not even like a diss, but when Mariah Carey got back at Eminem with "Why Are You So Obsessed with Me," I think like that's so funny because whatever his song was about her before, about like saying like yes we did hook up why are you denying it kind of thing like his diss towards her was really good but then her just kind of being like you don't know me like why are you obsessed with me like that's the best way to get back at anyone ever and I
It was,
always think that's so good
it was fun and playful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure maybe they really don't like each other, and I'm sure their fans go at it, but like they weren't pulling out deep skeletons of
Mhm.
that, you know?
That's true. That's true. I just, like I said, the music is entertaining. People getting a kick out of this. I just hope that it doesn't go to the next level. That's the only thing I'm hoping.
Yeah, yeah. I
'Cause I
forget.
think,
Now I even forget which one of them it was in their tracks, but there was one. Someone had a line, which I think it was Drake about Kendrick, but it was like you're like owned by the person that's owned by the person that's owned by the person. I'm like, oh my god, this is. I mean, also feelings aside, both I feel like both men or whoever's writing for Drake or whatever, like it really smart, good. Like some of these people are prolific writers and like really intelligent. And I love that. Where at least we have to think a little bit, towards the
that's
lyrics
true.
because to me, like I feel like a lot of the current music, like Doja Cat and Ice Spice and stuff, is like very dumbed down, and there's not a lot of thinking that has to be done. And so,
Mhm.
to me, to like have to interpret what these artists mean is like a nice experience.
Yeah, I know for me, I love artists that create their own style. Um,
Yeah,
because one thing that's been happening over the last few years, I don't know if you notice it, when someone comes out with a real hot track or something, you'll see other artists won't be exactly like it, but it's like you're hearing the same song over and over again
right.
in a different variation.
Yes,
I
I
don't
feel
know
like
if
there's
it's just
like
me or
10
not.
Olivia Rodrigos and stuff, and like 10. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's cool and everything, but how about be creative? Create something different.
Yeah. Yes. So it's really it's good to see like I also saw one video that someone made it. They were like, okay, now Drake and Kendrick just need to like kiss. And then someone's like I'm gonna need to see them like tongue kiss. And then someone was like, can
Oh
we
wow.
could some I know, and they were like, could we start writing like fan fiction about them? And I'm like, that is so funny to me where they're starting to write like a this is how their love story begins.
That was
But
good. That was
it was good, but it kept I think it kept everyone busy, or at least the people that care about it. Like there was definitely a half a day that I spent learning about the beef history and just dissecting all their lyrics. So I feel like if you want to know how I spent my week, that was
there you go.
it. So okay, what's your next topic?
I want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. And this is the elimination of the non-compete by the FTC.
Oh yes,
Um,
yes.
Now, for a lot of people out there that aren't sure what a non-compete is, what a non-compete does is say, let's say you work for a sales organization, and for whatever reason you want to leave, or they let you go, whatever the case is. Sometimes they want you to sign a non-compete, meaning that you cannot go work for their competition. You can't, do business with any other customers that you've done business with. I think this is bullshit. I never liked it.
Mhm.
I've never signed it. And the thing is that if you work for a toxic company, that means you're stuck if you sign
Yeah.
non-competes. And it's like, why should someone suffer, someone not be able to take care of their family because the place they're at sucks or they're just a miserable place to work at? And because you don't want them there, you just want to ruin them. That's bullshit. I'm so glad they did this.
Me
As,
too.
as you can, as you can tell, this is a pretty.
Yeah. I mean, and you said you've never signed one?
Never.
Or you had places that have tried to get you to do it?
Oh yeah. Hmm.
And you just said like I'll take the job, but I'm not signing it,
Yep.
and
And
they
I
they're
didn't back
cool with
down
that.
from it. I've had multiple places that wanted me to sign.
Wow.
Mhm.
I had a few questions. I wrote them down. So the first one is, has it been different in different states, like all along with different non-competes, or like has it just been a blanket United States, or has there been?
Well, the ones that did it, they basically, to me, it was used as a weapon, in my opinion. And then the second problem with the non-compete is if you ever read them, sometimes they put stupid stuff in those non-competes. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say you sell cars for a living, okay? And they want you to sign a non-compete saying that while you work for us, if you invent anything, even if it has nothing to do with the automotive industry, we own that product. Now, to me, that's stupid. So
Yes,
on my off time, I invent, let's say, a new lawnmower or whatever, has zero to do with the industry. You own it because I work for you. That's stupid.
absolutely.
I've seen non-competes that some people try to get me to sign that had stuff in there like that. It was just nuts.
Wow. See, it's good that you look it over. And then do they try to like say if you left that job, is there like a period in which that usually ends? Is it like over the next 3 years you can't work at a competitor, or like do you know what kind of the average time limit is?
Average is about 3 years. On
Oh,
the
really?
extreme side, it may be up to 5 years,
Whoa. And I'm guessing it depends on the industry too. Like I bet.
but the real thing about it is if you're worried about trade secrets, um, there's a remedy for that legal wise. You don't need a non-compete for that. The
Yeah. Yeah.
non-compete is specifically as a weapon for the a weapon to be used towards the employee to me. Because if someone steals your intellectual property, obviously you got lawyers, and there's a remedy for that in the court system. You don't need a non-compete.
Right. What about like a scenario where there's an employee and they're kind of like secretly funneling all of the company's either like client names and email addresses or something, and then like next month they go out and start their own business? I guess that's okay now, right? Like it's kind of all is fair game, or
As long as you're not working for the company, you can't do that while you work for the company because
right, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the company could be like, while you were here, you were, because basically like long I had an example of that where like I have a friend in insurance and she knew she was going to be starting her own company, and of course like she wouldn't do this, but she had to sign a non-compete because her current company was worried that she was going to start like building her little nest egg and then basically take it to be like a freelance insurance consultant.
Mhm. Now the other thing is too, companies are also scared if you're really good at your job.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
here's the thing, you can leave that company and let's say you do start your own business. If you're good at what you're doing, you don't have to go after your customers. They'll come to you.
yeah,
Some people,
absolutely.
and to me, if you're that worried, that means you as a company aren't doing something right.
Yeah. Yep, totally. One of the reasons, like, one of my jobs is I work in podcasting, and I work with a company called Podfly. They're awesome podcast production company. And one of the
Mhm.
reasons I've stayed with them since 2016 is because they've been so wonderful about just being like, we trust you. Sometimes clients will leave and then they'll like ask to work with me for the podcast. And they're like, hey, as long as you're not using any of our resources and it's your own time, like you could work with them. And it's just
Mhm.
such wonderful energy. And like that has made me stay loyal for like almost a decade now in a job
Oh, that's
up,
great. Yeah.
so I feel like a lot of companies in this day and age you can trust people more, but then every now and then you get burned, and like there could be a scenario where someone's like gathering stealing clients and like uh you know
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that can it happen? Of course. But the average person is not going to do that.
right.
And like I said, there are some companies that probably do have an honest intent on using a non-compete, but because the non-compete has been used as a weapon by so many companies and they have these ridiculous things in there, to me, there's no need for a non-compete. It's just stupid.
Me too. And I read it when I think it was the article you sent me, or what I saw about it was like the statistics of what this will create now by getting rid of it, and it's such a good way where it's like whatever, however, 40% new businesses, like a lot of new innovation,
Yep.
and it really helps us as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. Because what happens is, and the thing is, when you have people opening up businesses and stuff, what happens is the industry they're starting to gauge and kind of keep themselves in check because the reality is that people can go off and start their own businesses or maybe go to another company if they're not happy and they don't have to feel trapped because that's the
Yeah,
biggest.
yeah, because I feel like companies should worry about when people start feeling trapped. Like that's more of a non-asset to them.
You would think they would know that.
We need more confident, secure people running businesses.
True, very true. Oh, that was a good one.
Ooh, that was a really good one. Non-compete. Well, I won't compete with the thirsty topics because there's no show as fun as this one. I'm sure AI will like change it to like something else in a few years of me saying something different. So funny. Okay, well, this is a fun one. I feel like, oh my god, all these topics today, I feel like we could genuinely talk like an hour on each one. This is like, I feel like this. Okay, so there's a dating app called Bumble, which I'm sure you've at least heard of. I know you're a married man, so you're not on it, but you've at least heard of it. So now, Bumble was well known because typically women had to make the first move and say message the man first, and then the man could write back, whatever. But now it says women no longer have to make the first move on Bumble, and trying to say like, so, and also for same-sex and non-binary users, either person can respond to these prompts. It's called an opening moves, but basically they changed it because I think they were seeing a lot of dating fatigue with women who actually got turned off from the app because they were taking the first move and messaging men and getting rejected. And then they were seeing a lot of their users go away and just be like, we tried. I think women can't handle a lot, or like, not saying women as a whole in general, but I think women in general, to me, aren't going to get rejected as often as men without being like, I'm leaving the situation. You know what I mean? Like, compared to my whatever. So now they're opening it up to men being able to message first. And I don't know, people feel two types of ways about this. One is that they like that in the past women were in control and like they liked not having men in the inbox first. They could pick and choose who they talk to. But then women also thought in a good way this could help at least like open up more conversation than just men freezing when women talk to them.
Oh, sure. And I mean, actually, I did not know that on Bumble women made the first move. That's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was so successful, because I feel like just as a whole, by the time a woman decides that she wants to approach a man, like it just had a better chance of at least hitting it off in the, even as an initial conversation.
Oh yeah, and for the people watching here that say, "Wow, Lawrence, you don't know what Bumble is?" I've been married over 20 years, so that's why I don't know.
You don't want to know.
I know they're watching like, how do you not know this? Well, that's why.
Yeah, you don't want to know. I think in the past like couple of years there was like 2 weeks where I was on dating apps and I had heard from women that it was a nightmare out there and that people were so mean, and I did not find that to be the case. I had like really nice men messaging me stuff, but I just wasn't ready. And I just like, I had all these men saying like, can I cook for you? And I saw it and I'm like, and I deleted the whole thing. But if I had Bumble, I wouldn't have it would have just sat there quiet because I wouldn't have reached out to anyone.
I mean, I guess the way I look at it, to me, if your picture's out there, you're telling people how you are about yourself and stuff, and some people reject you, I don't look at that as a bad thing. That could be you being protected from a nutcase. You don't know that.
Yeah.
And the thing is too is that there is rejection in life no matter what. And sometimes a person that's real eager and into you may not necessarily be the best person for you also.
Exactly. And apps are so hard to tell. Oh, I see here now. This is interesting. It said the change, which is part of the company's whole rebrand, follows a consistent drop in the app's stock prices. Today, individual shares are down more than 80% compared to when the company went public in 2021. So Bumble was really hurting.
80%? Wow.
Yep. So from 2021. And I mean, I wonder how much the pandemic had to do with that, but not really, because I
would think the pandemic would help it.
Yeah, I would too. I don't know though. I mean, I'm sure I would love to hear from people like what dating apps people have had success on. But like there used to be one that I really liked called Why Don't We? And instead of like matching as like a love connection, people were just saying like why don't we go ice skating? Or it was more about the activity where it was like, hey, I have like 2 tickets to this concert. I think you would be fun to go to this concert with me, and like let's start small this way. Or, instead of being like, are you my potential soulmate? It was like, why don't we just have an Italian dinner downtown? Just like little things here and there. And I thought that was a good dating Like
Oh yeah,
that's
I mean,
I think I'd be more likely.
you would get a chance to get to know each other a little bit better. You're in public,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and let's say, you know, you meet this person and maybe you don't really, you can kind of break it off a little bit easy and move on, you know?
Exactly. And I feel like single people too always felt like I don't even need a whole big relationship. I just wanted to go to the movies with someone or and so it's like these little milestones instead of feeling like you're searching for a big soulmate. I think activity-based dating is such a good idea.
That actually is pretty good, you know?
Isn't it? Like, yeah, because it's just little. Because I knew for me when I was dating, like all I would really want here and there is just a companion to like go to a concert with or something.
Hmm.
And I feel like that was a good idea. But yeah, we'll have to see now what if Bumble how that's gonna work.
Well, losing 80%, they're going to have to do something.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want all the women of Bumble to like when they have to message first to message how men usually do, which is a lot of hey, just HEY period. Or like the thing I couldn't take about dating apps was just the tip like, hey, how's your day? Hey, how's your day? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't talk about my day. Like, I always love the creative ones. I feel like that wins. So we'll
There
see.
you go.
Yeah.
Well, that actually
Okay.
rolls into the next one that I'd like to talk about, the roast of Tom Brady.
Oh yeah. I just watched that.
Oh my goodness. You know, I never was a big fan of roast. And the reason why is that it just seems like it gets a little bit too personal with the jabs, you know?
Yep.
And I don't know. I mean, I've never been a big fan of, people talking about people and taking it to the extreme. Even comedians that have people in the front row and they, start messing with the fans that, paid all their
Yeah.
hard-earned money. I mean, I don't know if you do that. So if you do, I
Mm-mm.
apologize.
No, no, I really don't. If anything, I try to like make it more about like I'm the clown and they're the nice ones, and like I would never ever ever make someone like feel bad at my shows, especially like I want them to feel better about themselves. But I've seen comics do it really well and really funny too. Like just
Mhm.
even just like razzing on someone for date night or doing that. But no, I don't do a ton of crowd work.
Yeah. And you know what? If it's done the right way, it is funny. But, sometimes you have some comedians that really go over the top, you know.
Yeah,
And like with the Tom Brady thing, it was all fun and games. And there was one thing that he actually kind of checked someone on because I guess they wanted
yeah.
time. Surprisingly, it wasn't about disrespecting his ex-wife. It was, when they cracked the joke about the owner of the Patriots,
Right. So he's protecting his Rob.
And I was sitting there thinking, so let me get this straight. You checked the guy about cracking the joke about this billionaire that was allegedly getting extra services at a massage
Yep.
parlor, but you don't say anything about people rising or really digging deep into and I get it, y'all that's your ex, but she's still the mother of your child.
I
That's surprising.
know.
That
I
really
know.
surprised me.
Yeah. I know. I love when they like I think definitely did their fair share of Tom Brady too, but I think it's so funny like when Nikki Glazer was roasting Kevin Hart and like everyone was laughing so hard and then I love Nikki Glazer. I love her so much. I think she's really shocking, which to me she's really funny and I just love it. And then when she went to like Bert Kreischer, who usually is shirtless, like a shirtless comedian, and I just thought that was great. I like when they all do it to each other too. It does start to
Mm-hmm.
feel like too much when they're just piling on like one individual about his kids and his ex-wife and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady handled it better than I thought though. I didn't really know he had like such a good sense of humor.
Yeah, I mean, they were really getting deep.
They were. They
I was like,
were.
wow.
I know. He looked scared some of the time, but then he also looked happy. And did you see when Kim Kardashian came up and they like booed?
Now that shocked me. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
Did she do something that I'm not aware of? Because I really did not expect that.
Well, I think because like they were rumored to have a relationship. Did you know that?
Nah, I
Like,
did.
yeah,
You know what? I heard some about that, but I didn't know if it was true or not.
yeah, I don't think they like that. I honestly think Taylor Swift has like something to do with it now too, because like in Taylor's latest album, she talks about Kim, and that kind of like reopened the floodgates again for people to. And I just think people as a whole like aren't the biggest fans of the Kardashian family as a whole. So it's kind of like I don't feel this way, but I feel like for people it's like fun for them to. It's fun to hate the Kardashians. You know, they're kind of like a punching bag. Um, but I don't know. I thought Kim was pretty cool and she handled it well. But
She did. But you know what's so funny? Everybody booed her, but everyone watches all their shows and buys all their products. So
yeah, yes, I know. And they're like millionaire trillionaires with like millions of followers online and
right.
selling makeup and clothes and stuff. Oh my god, someone had a line about with Kim about that she didn't want to be here tonight or something, but it was because she would have to leave her kids with their dad.
Wow.
Yeah, so basically also I mean that's funny like getting in kind of a Kanye roast too, of course. That's okay with that. But I thought that was a really good roast. I love Jeff Ross too. He performs a lot here. Like I've seen him a bunch, and he's always one of my favorite comedians live. Like
Mm,
he's like made me laugh till I cry.
mm. Yeah. I mean, overall, it was pretty good. I was just really surprised at those two things, though.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I thought those were the fact that he defended Rob. I wonder if people had jokes like coming up about him that they had to just throw away
You know
afterwards.
what? I wouldn't be surprised about that. I truly wouldn't.
Yeah, huh?
I mean, the comedian, he played it off pretty well. I
Yeah,
don't think he expected that either.
no, but his face was like, okay, you can tell. And it was hard to know, like, if Tom was a million percent being real or just kidding, or like if he was really mad or if he was just playing. I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
You
And
know?
the sad part is at the end when, he kind of took a shot at his ex-wife too. That was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Because I truly thought he was about to take up for, the love of my life, football. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yes, I know. I know. That was brutal. Because it's like I feel like that's the reason they got divorced. You know, like he couldn't let it go and like just spend time with them overall. Tom Brady seems like I mean, good for him. I have to give props to anyone that's so dedicated at what they do, but he does seem like in order to do that, you have to kind of be like a peculiar person, you know, and
True.
to be like so focused and um but I mean that is crazy. I hope there's more roasts like that. That was awesome.
True. That's true. It was pretty good.
I like love Nikki Glazer, the girl. When I did morning radio in San Diego, we had her on our show, and that was one person that came in that I really felt like afterwards we were talking just like two girls, and like I felt like we could have talked for hours. It's like behind the scenes she's really nice and cool too, and so like it's always cool. At that time she wasn't that famous yet, but now it's always so cool to see someone like kill it and be she held her own with a bunch of men too.
Hmm. Yeah, that is pretty cool. Definitely.
Yay. Okay. Well, speaking of roasting, something that will not be on the menu that wasn't on the menu at the Met Gala is roasted garlic. So basically, at the 2024 Met Gala, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about that just in general. But I thought one of the most interesting stories that came out of it was that the event host, Anna Wintour, that we know a lot about, vetoed 3 foods from being served, which were chives, onion, and garlic, all of which were notorious for causing bad breath. And so it was so funny because when the article read like these foods were banned from the Met, I thought it was going to be more like poor people food, or like I thought she was going to ban like fried stuff and just be kind of foofy, but I didn't know
Hmm.
it was because people didn't want bad breath, and that kind of makes sense to me.
I guess it does, especially when you're an entertainer and stuff, and you're very, very conscious about, your whole body.
Yeah,
So that kind of makes sense too. But I'm like you, I kind of was looking for something else, but I'm like, oh, this ain't that bad.
me too. I wonder what it doesn't say here, but I wonder what they did serve because I also feel like a lot of other like steak and potatoes can also give you bad breath, or you know what I mean? Like there's it's not just
Mhm.
I know like garlic and onions are like very heavy and pronounced, but I don't know. I feel like if you have bad breath, like you don't want asparagus or broccoli or like anything could be an offender.
Oh yeah, and some people, even though they love garlic and onions, may not know how to leave it alone at events. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you sitting there and it's like, wow, somebody just ate a whole bag of greens.
It's so funny though, because I don't know, like, have you ever to me, if someone has bad breath, they just have it. I haven't really necessarily like acutely smelled garlic so heavily on someone that it like offended me. Have you?
You know what? No, I haven't. I haven't. I mean, the only time that someone's breath kind of like really got to me is when you have someone that drinks coffee and smokes cigarettes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The cigarettes. Yeah.
That is a very distinct smell. And it's like,
Yes. Oh, I could like smell that. Yeah.
it kind of is almost like someone is taking a 2x4 smacking you in the face with it. It's like,
Yeah, it smells like a casino almost, like a casino
yeah.
floor. See, I'm guilty of the coffee. I feel like coffee
Well,
probably
you know what?
makes
By itself, it's fine. It's that mixture.
yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's like when a person's smoking and drinking coffee at the same time,
Oh,
a
yes.
very unique smell.
Yes. It like smells like a truck too. Like I could just picture like the front seat of a truck and like
Yeah, by
um
itself is not that bad, but yeah, definitely not together.
yeah. I have a feeling as well that people probably aren't eating a whole ton at the Met Gala because it seems like everyone's in their dress, everyone wants to be skinny in that moment. No one wants like mashed potatoes all over themselves. And
Mm.
uh yeah, I would have to guess like people are also drinking and doing drugs. So it's like they're probably wanting to, not ruin it with chimichurri or something.
I would say that with the corsets that they're wearing, I don't think they can eat much.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. It's probably not that fun. Did you pay attention to any of the looks at the Met or anything?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Okay. What are your thoughts? Oh, I love it. You.
You know what? Most of it was pretty cool. The two that really stood out was the corsets, especially the one that Kim Kardashian wear. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, how could you breathe? I mean, it was like super
Yes.
tight. And then there was one actress, I forgot her name, but it looked like she had a forest on her head.
Oh.
It looked like it
Yeah.
was branches with like this green mesh on top of it.
Oh yes. I forget who it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I keep picturing Lana Del Rey, but I know that's not her. Like I know that's, but Lana Del Rey was kind of like that too, where she had her
Mhm.
own almost like enclosure.
And then you
Um.
had a couple of them that had the veil or the dress was like, I don't know, most dresses are probably a few feet wide, where these were like, I don't know, 10, 20 feet wide.
Yes, yes, like the big like black dresses with like the
Yes.
production. Yeah, it almost seemed like that must have taken a while for everyone involved to like fluff it out, get pictures of it, move on to the next person.
Mhm.
I
I'd
could
like
just
to know
imagine if
how do they sit down with that?
I know, I know. I wonder if they just don't or if like they get all their looks in and then they just change into like sweatpants inside or
True.
something.
True.
Um, Imagine if you're like next in line and the person in front of you is one of those people that has to like have a trail and have 4 assistants, and it's like, just let me go, just like let me cut in front of them.
But like, hey,
I
you're gonna be
thought,
there a while.
yeah, relating to the Kardashians, even though I don't like Kendall Jenner, I feel like she's a biatch, but like I thought she looked really beautiful. I thought her dress and like I mean her body is just absolutely insane and like she's like stunning. So I liked her look. And then I have to say, like I've been defending my girl J Lo for such a long time now, but I've seen some videos of her not being so nice and kind of just like someone asked what she was wearing and she rudely went like Scaparelli and kept walking and I'm like, oh J Lo, come on, I've been trying to trying to defend you here.
Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but I heard that she's a real piece of work behind the scenes.
I know, which is so sad.
As far as like some artists have these incredible wants and needs that they have to have when they perform and stuff. Some of it's no big deal, but some of it's like really off the wall type stuff.
Yeah, yeah, she has a lot of like definitely prima donna-ish. That's why like last week when we talked about The Rock kind of being outed for not being nice. I was like, oh no, I feel like he's becoming a J-Lo where you just get too big for your britches.
Yeah, you know, the same people that brought you up can be the same ones that rip you down too. You gotta be careful about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But I thought one of the hosts, the young woman, Emma Chamberlain, I thought she looked really cool and beautiful. Like some people just nailed the whole theme, the garden theme, and some people I love the people that like are totally off theme. Like that one singer, Camila Cabello, was holding an ice block, and I loved everyone on TikTok was like, "Why is the ice like melting and dripping off for no reason? This has like nothing to do with the garden." I think it's so
Well, it
funny.
worked. She got a lot of social media coverage.
Yeah, she did. She was on it. But yeah, I love that. Even though I secretly hate on it, and I'm always like, oh, if I was invited, I wouldn't go. But I'm like, okay, if I was invited, I would go in 5 minutes. I would eat a bunch of onions and then go.
There you go. Well, I would like to talk about, speaking of celebrities, have you heard about Britney Spears, about the
Oh
photos at the
no.
hotel and
I
her
heard
ankle and all that?
yeah, I don't know about the ankle. I saw the headline, but I know she has like a new boyfriend and they got into a fight and she's acting a fool and yeah, so please enlighten me.
Well, I guess there was an incident that happened at the hotel. It was her and a boyfriend there, and supposedly got into some kind of big fight or whatever. And somehow or another, the police and the ambulance was called out there. So the picture, of course, the paparazzi follows her everywhere. So there's some unflattering pictures of her almost nude, you know,
Oh
basically
no.
in a bed sheet or whatever, with some shorts on or whatever. And from what Britney Spears says is that, you know, she believes that her mom has something to do with that because it's like right after she argued with her boyfriend, whatever, the ambulance was at her door. You know,
Oh really?
it's kind of weird. Was how would your mom know that? But anyway, um,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
kind of weird. And then, you know, I guess a day or two later, she showed her ankle. It looked like she broke her ankle or sprained it real bad because it's real swollen. And I don't know. I think people are getting a little bit too much into this. It's like I would like to see Britney be successful because
Yes.
when she was under that conservatorship, you know, at the time I did not know how they worked and how, you know, especially in California, I guess, and maybe some other states, once you get on it, it's damn near impossible to get off, which is shocking. Um, and it's almost like being a prisoner. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like they were making health decisions for her that they were like even like the medication that she was or isn't taking and like that's I feel like we don't even know the worst of it, I bet, of like what she would have to take medicine wise and
Oh yeah, and you know the thing is, people have fights. I mean, as long as it's not physical or whatever.
right,
Guess what? All couples fight every so often. That's a part of
right,
life. The question is, did anybody hit each other? Nobody's hitting each other. It doesn't mean that Brittany's flipping out. It just means okay, it's a normal relationship. You know, how many relationships
right.
you been in where you've had arguments with your spouse? That's just a part of reality. You know what I mean?
Yep. I also wonder, like, I don't know if I don't love Britney's taste in men. Let me just put it this way, too, where, like, she hasn't had the best track record of picking, like, wonderful stand up men. Who knows what even went on with her last relationship, but I think it doesn't help that she typically ends up in these relationships with guys that seem like they're kind of like snaky or not to be trusted at all. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have to wonder if like she's so far gone. I hope that she's able to like come back and be a member of society and like be normal and just, kind of like be able to do her thing. But she seems like very far out there. So
Yeah, I mean, it didn't help the situation when, you know, they said that I guess her new boyfriend kind of has a criminal past, you know.
oh really? I didn't see that.
So that doesn't help the situation much any, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a mix. I feel for Britney, I really do, but I also feel like I think a lot of people expected once the conservatorship went away, she was going to be like back to like, okay, thank you so much, that helped. And she's still kind of a hot mess. And like, I'm not a huge fan for whatever reason of like the weird Instagrams where she's twirling around and like
Yeah.
teeny weeny emojis like over her genitals and stuff. Like, I'm just not the biggest fan, but I also realize like that's someone expressing themselves, and a lot of people like love her for that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, hopefully everything dies down, but I'm with you. I thought when the conservatorship was over with, you really, unless she came out with new music, you didn't really hear much from her. You know what I mean?
Right. But also like you said, we've all had couple arguments that have like escalated and we've both been embarrassed, and you know what I mean? Like everyone has had those nights where it's just
Oh, sure.
like you're just yelling at each other and it just is bad. But yeah, this seems weird.
Extremely weird.
What if they did the roast of Britney Spears? It wouldn't even be. It's happening. She's doing it to herself, basically.
Now, if they did that, I would definitely make sure I watch that.
Really? Yeah, I feel like that would be the highest viewership ever. But like, what wouldn't they talk about? I mean, I feel so bad, but it's almost like too easy.
True. That's very true. Because really, her life has been like an open book over the years.
Yeah, it's been an open roast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. We'll definitely. Something tells me we'll have more Britney news in the future as time goes on.
I agree.
But yeah, I had to sadly. I think for a while I had to like either block or unfollow or whatever on Instagrams. I just couldn't take it too much, and like maybe people love seeing her spin around naked, but for me, I just can't. Okay, well, I thought this one was good and hilarious. In China, it was this is not me. This is the article. This is a quote pandemonium when zoo visitors were outraged to discover that they had dressed dogs as pandas because they didn't have the genuine panda. They didn't have any pandas. They don't have the budget to bring them in, and so these fake pandas emerged, which were actually Chow Chow dogs, a big-haired breed from northern China, which are usually the ones that have the blue tongues. And the photos, if anyone wants to like Google the photos, are just hilarious because the fact that they just tried to dye these dogs black and white and call it pandas, like, are so funny to me. Where I don't know if you could see it, but like, like imagine going to the zoo and being like, "Why are these little tiny pandas that look like dogs?" And I've heard conspiracy theories before that people feel like a lot of pandas are just people in panda costumes. Like I've heard a lot of people at zoos think that they're just humans in a panda costume. So this is definitely not helping.
That is true.
I think
That
this
is
is
true.
so funny to me.
I mean, it's cute. Little strange that they did that, but it was kind of cute. And I guess Chow Chows from a physical standpoint probably was a perfect dog for them to do, but Chow Chows are not the nicest pet to have in your house.
Yeah, I know. I feel like they're very and yeah, very not great towards kids or anything too, and very protective. And to me, this isn't bad if you like just say what this is, which is like a funny panda looking dog exhibit, but if you're trying to make money and actually trick people, that's where we have an issue. But I love that they had a quote from the rep that was just like, yeah, people dye their hair. We decided to dye dogs' hair. Like he didn't really say like I'm sorry or anything. He just basically said people dye their hair, so we dyed a bunch of dogs' hair for it was it.
Yeah, that is kind of funny that they tried to trick people with that. But
yeah, could you imagine? And I mean, enough parents with kids could just tell their kids like, yeah, that's a panda bear, but it's so
and then you
weird.
sitting there like, why is he standing up on two legs? They stand on four legs for some reason.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe don't market that you have pandas if you don't. But
True.
I thought that was
Very true.
hilarious.
But that was a good one though.
So silly.
Let's see. Ooh, we're running out of time. So which one do I want to do? There's actually some pretty good ones on here. And actually, you know what? I am going to go with this one here because May is National Mental Health Awareness Month.
Ooh.
So I wanted to find out, what do you think about the surprise resignations from Miss USA and Miss Teen USA, citing mental health concerns?
Yes, I think that is like it might seem weird now, but I think that's just the time that we're in. And I think as we continue to bring mental health to the forefront, I think we're going to see more and more like that. Who was it Simone Biles, the gymnast that kind of did the same thing? That
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel like it seems, like I said, it seems weird now when we see like athletes and pageant contestants do it, and it seems like they're being crybabies. But I think it's only because we're not used to the conversation. Like
Mhm.
I applaud that. I think people know their own mental health, and if you feel like you're depressed or anxious or like heading for a breakdown, it's totally okay just to leave anything. And especially the organizations are known to be not the best for mental health, like competing against other women, having to be a certain size, having your looks picked apart.
Yeah, the
So
one thing that
I get it.
surprised me is, you know, I don't know about the team, but I know Miss USA, they have to sign NDAs. I did not know that
Oh, I didn't know that either.
because I guess there was a lot of other contestants that kind of petitioned to let Miss USA, who just resigned, be released from her NDA so she could tell her story. Because I guess behind the scenes is pretty toxic.
I could definitely imagine. And I've even heard it's less toxic with the women itself and like more toxic with the producers or like the shareholders of the group, or it almost seems like the system itself is more toxic than
Mhm.
the actual women. Because I feel like in all those groups, you do have women that are like bad ones out of the bunch, but for the most part, most of these women are like extremely intelligent. They have to have good personalities. I think they underestimate how like multidimensional most of the women are, and it's more like the sponsors and the executives that are the sucky ones.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because the sad part is that, when you're trying to make it an entertainment, whether it be through Miss USA pageants, whether it be radio, television, unfortunately, there is a bad part behind the scenes. And
Yeah.
sometimes a lot of people don't realize what goes on behind the scenes until someone, has the courage to speak up about it.
Right. Yep. So I think that's good. I think it gets into murky waters when at jobs, if people abuse it and they like take mental health days and they don't really need it, and then it ends up hurting the whole movement of it. Like
Yeah.
if you're using it kind of when you don't need to.
Oh yeah, you're kind of making a mockery of it because there's a lot of people that truly do need help that don't speak up,
Right, right.
and a lot of times they feel that they don't want to be looked at differently, and the thing is that some people don't want to speak up because they don't want to feel like they're looked at differently from their peers or from the other family members because they say, hey, you know what, I'm not okay.
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about back in like I think maybe 2007 or 2008. I had to take like 2 weeks off of a job that I had just because I was like I definitely had some like stress related illnesses, so I was off for 2 weeks. And then when I came back, it was so funny cuz like one of my coworkers was like, "Hey, if you could just like staple this piece of paper today, that would be great." Like they gave me no responsibilities, and he was acting. He's like, "I don't want to like overwhelm you, but if you could just like staple this, that'd be great." And then I had another coworker who like, bless her heart, but she just was like so just didn't understand anything, and so she was so like blunt, and she was like, "So what's the deal? Are you crazy or not?" She just said that.
Wow.
Yeah, and she just is someone that like I think some people just don't understand what it feels like to struggle with your mental health, and like good for them. I mean, like God, that's amazing. I can't imagine a lifestyle like that, or like that's so funny. But to her, it's like she couldn't comprehend someone needing to take time off. Like, and to
Oh,
them,
yeah.
it's just like, are you going crazy or not? Like, yes or no.
But you know what? It's so good that it's being talked about openly because there was a point in my lifetime where men could not talk about their mental health. You'd be
Yeah,
frowned. And now, it's okay to say, you know what, I'm not doing good. I'm not all right. And
yeah,
not worry about, almost kind of be, challenging your manhood. Like, what do you mean you're not doing okay? You know what I mean?
yes, yeah, totally. And I feel more people have to speak up for sure. And like even just setting boundaries. Like at that time, I could see my stress levels creeping up, and they had us working in an office that was like also becoming like a junk space for everything. And so like boxes would get piled and there was wires everywhere. And it's just for like sensitive people, you need a clean workspace and like a nice calming workspace. And I think like now I would have spoken up for myself and just said, this is not a workspace I can be in, like to be professional. This is not, but instead I think I just let it like seep up. And I worked with another man and I remember him saying like, I feel the same way as you. I just can't really, like, I'm seen as kind of like, a baby if I bring it up or if I say that I can't work like this.
Yeah. And really, when you think about it, that's kind of a sad thing for him to say.
Yeah.
Not being able to really speak up and say, hey, this is not right, with the worry about being looked at a certain way. I'm so
Right.
glad things have changed though.
Yeah, yeah, me too, for sure. And I think more people have to have boundaries like that. Like when I look back at that time, I was answering emails at like 10 at night. I just had no personal or professional boundaries. So yeah, I think, and maybe there'll be like a better balance of women being able to just say, and men being like, I can't work like this. And, people will just have to adjust.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, and I've always said this, is unfortunately, if you drop dead right now, your job would have you have that position filled probably within a week or two, if not sooner.
Exactly.
So, obviously we all have to pay bills, you gotta make money or whatever, but not at the cost of your health. There's no
No.
job on this earth worth your health.
I would hope it would take you at least 2 weeks to replace me.
You are irreplaceable.
Oh, thank you. You have to put up a whole new thing. Good. At least 15 days. That'd be good. It'd be like the non-compete all over again.
Oh,
Should I end it? Should I save my next one for next week, or should I don't know. How do you feel?
you know what? It's up to you. We can have one more if you want.
Okay, I'll do a quick one. I thought this is a quick one. It's a silly one. So there's a ex-Russian spy, a sexpionage agent, talking about how she became a master manipulator. There's not a ton of so basically this girl, Aliyah Rosa, is a former Russian citizen who claims to be an ex-spy. She said that it took many years for her to realize that she had been brainwashed, and then she became a master manipulator working in the field of sexpionage. So basically, if people want to learn more, she appeared on the podcast called To Die For by Tenderfoot TV and iHeart Podcast. And in the podcast, she discusses fleeing Moscow and then how she learned to manipulate people and get what she wants. So I thought that was super cool. And I could just imagine, I'm sure what some of her tips are of just, manipulating people. But I wanted to know, do you have any manipulation tips of your own?
You know what? I would say you would probably get more out of a person by being nice than being mean.
Yeah. Yes.
Because
yes.
a lot of times people don't understand. And I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say you want to tell your significant other, spouse, whatever. It doesn't matter, man or woman. And let's say you want them to do something. It could be picture plate. It could be, hey, can you fix that window? Can you do this? Now, one way you can ask is, when you're going to fix that damn window? When are you going to make my plate? Whatever. I'm hungry, or, there's a draft coming in. Versus, hey, you know what? Would it be okay if you go ahead and fix my plate since you're fixing yours? I'm kind of hungry. Versus, I know you're real busy, whatever. Is there a way you can, maybe make some time to go ahead and take care of that window just so we can get the drafts done? Now, the crazy thing is, you're actually saying the same thing.
Yes.
But that tone is totally different.
Yes, because in one, someone feels like they're being barked orders at, and the other one, you feel like you're on board, like solving a problem together.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like if I'm like, you always do this versus I feel triggered when this and this happens,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that, obviously as a husband, you never want to tell your wife no. So, my wife asks for stuff. I'm going to make sure I do it, or try damn hard to make sure it gets done. That's just the way I am with my wife and stuff. But, there's some people that bark orders. And to me, when you're barking orders, yeah, no one's going to be very enthusiastic about helping you do anything if you're, regardless of whether it's a friend, if it's a spouse or whatever. And a lot of people they underestimate the importance of tone.
Yes. Yeah, I honestly like don't have anyone in my life that would bark orders at me because that would be the first and last time. Like I everyone asked nicely, you know. I love that one. I think that's such a good one. I also feel like I just watched a video on this too about I think you're such a good listener. Like I feel like you're a really good, respectful
Oh,
listener.
thank
And
you.
of course, and I'm really trying to get better about like not interrupting people because I get excited and want to like be part of the conversation. And I was listening to a video about how people that are good listeners and just wait for the other person to be quiet and then speak are like 80% more effective at just getting what they want and getting the other person to like them. And she was basically saying like if you're nervous at a party, instead of feeling like you need to fill up the space, just like let other people talk, then pause, then answer. And that's something I really want to work on and like maybe go to some, you know, speaker class and stuff because I get so excited and then I just like pounce on stuff. But I think that's a good like manipulation, quote unquote, tactic is just to listen.
You know, believe it or not, it's actually a key element to sales, regardless of what you sell. But
Yeah.
to me, the worst salesperson is the person that outtalks their customer.
Yeah.
You learn so much by just shutting up. I was in a,
Yes.
and I don't want to call anyone else. I'm not going to use no names, but I was in a meeting where there was a manager and another salesperson in there. Besides me, we were talking to a customer. Literally, the manager and the other salesperson were talking so much they were trying to outtalk each other.
Oh my
And I'm
god.
just sitting there listening, right? And then the customer says, "Okay, okay, okay, that's enough. Let's move on." That's not good when a customer says that.
No, no, because it's like white noise, you know, like
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
And basically, the other salesperson will kind of BSing what they were talking about because there was a question regarding warranty. So I just kind of let them say it's BS, and then I says, okay, here's why the price is different, and I showed them why the price is different. And then the manager said to me, Lars, I noticed that you do a lot more listening than you do talking. And I have to filter what I had said because obviously he was my boss's boss. But I just said, well, you learn a lot by just listening. A lot of times a
Yeah.
customer will tell you, believe it or not, a customer, if you listen, will tell you how to sell them if you just listen.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think people do reveal so much if you just ask like even like what, you know, why do you feel that way? And then people just like answer and answer and answer and you know,
Mhm.
that's
We've
so
all
good.
we've all had that. I don't know. It could be at a car dealership. It could be at a department. So we've all had that salesperson that just wouldn't shut up. You know what I mean? Wouldn't even
Yeah.
give you a chance to even think. Well, what about this? Oh, don't you like this? Don't you like that? Don't you like this?
Yes, yes, and you feel like you don't and I think, to me, like, I feel like when I feel listened to, I, like, trust that person times a million, like, I love them, I'm, like, so that's such a high quality that I try you know, that when you feel listened to, and I feel like a lot of us don't feel listened to in most of our life, you know, so it's good when you finally have someone, have
Oh yeah,
people.
because unfortunately, there's some people that listen just so they can figure out when they can jump in and talk,
Yes.
versus listen to understand what that person's saying. It's a difference.
Yeah. Yes, yes, and we probably both know people. I have friends that like you'll be talking to them at a party and they're like, "Yeah, okay, okay," and they're like looking completely away from you, and then it makes me just want to say, "Never mind, I'm good."
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, I think those are that's so funny that once again you and I have like the nicest manipulation plans, which is like be nice to people and listen more.
And I'm gonna tell you, it's so simple. We laugh at it, but it's so many people that for whatever reason can't do that. That's
Yeah,
surprising to me.
I know. I know. I wish they taught listening skills like more in school growing up because I wish it was a more like innate skill for us.
And the crazy thing, Meryl, is listening actually is a necessity. If you want to navigate life, you need to know how to listen. You really do.
Yeah. Yes, totally.
Well, this was another good show.
Yeah, this was so, so, so good. I had a lot of fun.
I also had a lot of fun. And for everyone out there, make sure that you tune in every Wednesday at 6:30 Central and 7:30 Eastern and 4:30 Pacific. We're on every single week, and we always have different stuff to say. And I can tell you right now, with the way the world's going, you will never have to worry about us not having anything to talk about.
Never, ever. As long
Well,
as there's
everyone,
Met Galas and Kardashians
there you go.
and rapper beef.
Maybe we'll have her on the show. I could probably afford to get her for half a second, I think.
Hey, that would be good. Soon we'll be able to get like the AI clone version of her for like $100 an hour or something.
There you go. Everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.